solution out there to help us meet our two key goals, which is how to bring our people back safely to work, and at the same time save space costs. That's a quick tongue twister out there. So, I'll walk you through what certain housekeeping rules that we have. So, as you know, this is a 60 minutes webinar, and we will have a Q&A in the last 15 minutes of our discussion. But do keep the questions flowing in. You will see, a chat question, a chat prompt, and also a Q&A prompt right in the window. So if any question that you have directly for the panelists, do share it in the Q&A window. If you want to address the audience at large, you are more than welcome to share it in the chat one. And yeah, that's mainly how we would like to go about it. Now, before we jump right into it, I would really like to introduce ourselves. So we are Smart in Spaces. We are among the top industry leaders in digital workplace technology solution. In fact, we were founded more than 3 years ago, and we're also funded by Symphony. We are one of the key global partners of Microsoft in digital workplace technology, and we're really proud of the fact that we are supported by and we work in tandem with 45 global tech companies, which include NTT, Singtel, HIT, Kone, and so many more. The technology that we want to share with you, and especially more than that, our learnings that we want to share with you are from our experience of deploying, this solution, this back to work technology from 100 plus locations across 9 countries. So we're talking about, a lot of inferences and observations from various government and regulations, various, different kind of employee behavior from different cultures and industries. And that's where we come in to share our experiences and also to hear from you right in the end to see that, where is it that you see things are changing, and how do you, how are you getting up for this big change that is demanded out of us. So that's from me. I will hand it over to Dinesh. Dinesh, over to you. Please do introduce. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. Yep, I'm unmuted. So I'm here in Singapore. I'm actually I'm on hotel quarantine right now for 14 days. So the Wi-Fi goes a little up and down. Let me actually join back. I'm joined by my co-founder, Anushka. So hi, Anushka. And I'm joined by our head of technology, our VP technology, Raja Balu as well.
Hey, Dinesh.
So today the intention is not to share with you about our technology, but really share with you our learnings. I think we've been really privileged to have had an opportunity to do over 100 deployments over the last, I would say, 60 to 90 days after COVID hit. We quickly pivoted as a company, as a startup, and we said, it's time to give the market what the market needs rather than just keep talking about what we do, right? And so we basically got together, started to build a whole bunch of solutions that were needed, and we have a lot of learnings that we are very excited to share about with you essentially today, right? So Mansi, if you could keep moving the slides. So let me start by kind of giving you a summary of 9 things that we're starting to see a lot of business leaders, both government as well as leaders within businesses, that today this is absolutely top of mind for them, right? I think first is safety. So when you think safety, you think social distancing. People think, God, my factories and how everybody's going to be together out there, and workplaces where my colleague was sitting right, basically next to me. So people are thinking about how do we solve the social distancing issue. I'm here in Singapore, governments here are putting in place wearables and, making sure people are wearing masks, etc. And there are enough boxes that have been drawn around, right? So social distance is basically one thing of it. The second is work from home. Work from home has been one of the most successful experiments. There was a time when we had to plan an event and we wanted to talk to our customers and it would take months, it'd take a lot of money, but we're all working from home. So we want to learn, we want to know what is going on out there. We want to contribute, and work from home has been a great success, right? So now that work from home has been a success, how do we continue to evolve from here? What is the future going to actually look like, right? But that's definitely top of mind. Just the whole entry process. Sorry, Mansi, if you can stay on the last slide. Yeah, just things like thermal scanning, right? When people are coming in, how do I check whether they are healthy or not? Contactless services. How do I reduce the number of things that employees need to touch? Optimization. Can I optimize the space I have? I mean, look at it, right? Singapore's GDP contracted 42%. US GDP contracted 34. UK was out of the results around about 20. So obviously businesses need to think of different ideas and means to be able to optimize. And that is definitely the key word around the world, right? Satellite offices. Are we going to shift from where everybody used to come to one place and, in Outer Ring Road, and have 20,000 people in one office? Or are we going to start looking at satellite offices? It's closer to the home. People work from home, go there to collaborate, et cetera, et cetera. But that's another thing which is absolutely top of mind. Employee engagement at a time like this, everybody's at home. How do we engage? How can this be a two-way conversation? How do I know if my teams are motivated? What's on top of mind for them? How do I communicate with them, right? Sanitation, when if they come back to work, how clean is my place? And last but not the least, I think for me, the biggest conversation I've had with a whole bunch of CEOs around the world is flexibility. How do we continue to do work in a flexible manner? And I'm going to spend a big part of my session talking about flexibility and what we have seen some of our clients do, right? I've taken some clippings, but I think most of you can see that on sort of any website. But the intent is to solve these 9 issues that are out there. Okay. So, having spoken to a lot of people, what are the key learnings we've had? Like, what is absolutely top of mind, right? First is about the fact that some industries are continuing to operate. Manufacturing, right? Most definitely, it is very important for companies to manufacture chocolates, biscuits, FMCG goods, healthcare equipment, masks. All this is getting manufactured. And if you really think about it, whether it's a blue collared worker or white collared worker, right? They need to come back to work and they need to come back in a safe environment. We need to know what happened. We need insights, right? So clearly, manufacturing is a sector that is back. The second is healthcare. I really applaud. I was on a Air India flight coming in, and I was just thinking, coming into Singapore, right? And I was just thinking, here I am scrubbing my hands every 20 minutes. I've got a shield, I've got a mask. And we have staff that's getting up, walking around the aisle, serving the needs of customers. They're all out at risk. And I really applaud the healthcare industry, right? Because right now they're working 7 by 24 to be able to solve a problem. But how can we make it safer for them as they start to come back, either to the factory or wherever, right? Banking sectors, money's got to flow. Money is important. And so the banking sector is also starting to work in a very different manner. But these 3 sectors in particular, besides others, are starting to see people coming back. Another learning we've had is that, and sort of credit to companies, right? Because you could take it easy and say, okay, we'll see what happens. There's an intense focus on first setting up and then following safety protocols. It is an inconvenience. There's no doubt about it, right? But at least you know that because safety protocols are being followed, people feel a little bit safer. They feel that, everybody has to take care of themselves. But if you don't follow protocols, all hell breaks loose, right? Overcrowding, people not wearing masks, not clear about what we need to do, etc., etc. But I must say that at least in the client base that we worked, credit to them, they've been very clear about this. Second is, no doubt, companies have started preparing for the new normal. I've had conversations with executives, in Singapore, in India, in the US, and they're like, you know what, in the new normal, our workplace is going to look completely different. But they're not waiting because they want to leverage on it now. They're saying, okay, work from home was a success, then why are we not preparing to relook at our spaces and start preparing for the new normal, right? So clearly that discussion has begun. Most businesses are looking at cutting costs. They're saying, well, I spend so much money and nothing's being used right now. Are there creative ways in which I can actually cut cost? And I think that is definitely a conversation that is happening, right? Um, Also, one learning is that, at a time like this, it is very important to focus on what is simple to do, what is really easy to deploy, but what is very effective. And I think that is key. A lot of customers ask me about AI and video and then, analytics. Fantastic technologies. And we have it all. But I'll be honest with you, at a time like this, you got to deploy what's simple. What's simple for a user to use, what's simple for basically for you to deploy and to track. And I think that has worked out really well for the clients that we have worked with. One of the learnings I had was, we talked about the fact that it's all great to have everything 100% automated, but in this case, the employee also needs to do certain things. In the beginning, there was a little skepticism. I can tell you that the adoption of this is like 99%. You'll always have that 1% employee saying, you know what, well, I'm going to take a little shortcut. It's been 99%. And it's been like that on commercial buildings. It's been like that on factories. It's been like that in the workplace, which is huge, right? Because we were also a little bit skeptical, but I thought I'll share some of these learnings with you on what we have seen. Another very interesting thing is these are at a macro level. I'll now dwell down into a micro level. What is actually happening in those companies, right? So, Anji, we've deployed across about 15, 16 countries: South America, North America, India, Singapore, China, Russia, UK, Australia, name it, right? And it's interesting to see it's pretty much similar, right? Basically around the world. The first is everybody starting to do the math on the back of an envelope and saying, what is my real cost? And it's amazing because in India, we find the cost per seat, just the rental, could be about between 3 lakhs in Bangalore up to about 6 lakhs in Mumbai. That's per year, right? And then you've got a whole bunch of cost on top of it. And people are starting to do the math and saying, wow, is that how much I'm really spending? That's a huge part of the P&L, right? It's actually the second or third highest piece of the P&L. And frankly, when we set up this business about optimizing spaces, even I actually didn't get down into the detail on how much does it really cost, right? But that's huge. The second is one thing people are convinced about on the findings, because now they're starting to see how the tech is being used. They're very clear. They don't need 25% of their seats in the future. And now what will they do with the space? That's a second part of the conversation, right? But they don't need 25% of the seats. People will work from home. Teams will be split up. And, whether it's 12 months, 18 months, vaccine, no vaccine, that is something which we find as a key finding, right? And spaces will be de-densified. I think many companies are also looking at how do they spread out. Third, and this for me was very interesting. So we talked with a client who had just gone through actually marking out the seats that cannot be used. What was interesting was that in their office, every seat, they had to measure physically through tape with 8 seats that were around them, one behind, in the front, on the side, diagonal. The exercise took forever, right? And they landed up doing this, spending a lot of money, putting a lot of risk into it. And honestly, that was a huge finding for us. And we obviously came up with a great innovation to solve that problem. But, it's crazy, right? And it takes time. And then when you want to move things around, you got to do it all over again. Because the government said it was 1 or 2 meters, and then it's now 6 feet. And it could change, right? Depending on how airborne is this, etc. So just doing it manually, we felt was a big challenge, right? The second was, I asked them the question, right? In many of the deployments, how do you decide what to sanitize and what not to sanitize, right? Because you can't have a person keep on sanitizing. And that's where data and intelligence started to prove to be hugely important, because they wanted to see who's booked a room, who's booked a seat, when are they showing up? Have they checked in? Have they checked out? And so somebody goes and cleans it up. Otherwise, you just land up, keep on cleaning things, which is not very intelligent, right? Basically, this whole thing of who's working from home, which 2 people that are in the same team should never meet, because you're splitting the team into 2 parts. And so there's team A and team B, and obviously the people should not get together. But putting this whole process in place, and who goes to which office and when do they go, do they really go, who works out of home, that has taken months to implement, whereas it should have just been at the click of a button, right? So clearly, companies realize that they need to be ready, whether it's today or it's 12 months down the road or forever, they need to be ready, right? The second is the government regulations on the workplace are changing. Lockdown 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, we're already at 5.0, right? And so obviously, as the changes happen, what needs to happen in the workplace is also changing, right? What was interesting was before COVID, the occupancy we found in workplace was about 70%. 30% would be split between who's on leave, who is traveling, some sales guys out on the field. Now, if you think about what's going to happen in the future, right? 25% to 30% will be allocated work from home. That means only 70% people will basically go to work and they'll rotate around, right? But of the 70, there will still be 30 who will be traveling or in meetings. So really your real occupancy, if you think about it, over time, even post-COVID, is probably going to be at the 50% range, not more than that, if you have thought about implementing work from home. And I can tell you that it's been no different for any one of the deployments that we have done. They're experimenting with it today. They want to try it out in this environment because even though 10 to 15% people are back, because they said if we can get it right at this stage, we can get it right forever. And they're reporting. In fact, we are constantly looking at those statistics on what the real utilization is and how are people reacting to it. Are they checking in, checking out? Are they booking seats? Are they booking? What exactly are they doing, right, inside of the workplace? But these are some of the key findings we have. And if you think about it, for companies that think about technology and how to solve these problems using technology, it's going to be huge because they'll have a much more optimized workspace. They will have a much more control over safety and security, and they will have a much more optimized way in which work is going to get done, or flexible way in which work is going to get done moving forward, right? So Mansi, if you could move to the next slide. So our viewpoint, of course, we're a tech company and we are going to talk about technology. Our viewpoint is this is the best time to leverage on technology to get your house in order. Because for the companies that have done it, and each one of them, by the way, has put their hand up and said, you know what, we'll talk to somebody who wants to go on the journey that we took because they're seeing the benefit out of it. But clearly, there are four things that I think I want to try and drill down on. The first is, how do you make your environment safe? We have some recommendations. We'll talk about that. The second is, how can remote work be managed? The third is employee communication. Hugely important, right? An employee needs to know what's going on. They need to know what to do. And when they really come to work or even they work from home, what are the precautions they can be taking? And the fourth is, how do you give up space? And, this is not about just meaning give up and cut out floors or buildings. Well, you could do that if you wanted to, but it also means reutilizing that space, right? I mean, in our company, we always wanted to have that lab. We wanted to have that huge IoT lab. And I can tell you, we're going to do it because now we just freed up a whole bunch of space in our office and we are going to put that in instead of taking more space. So you can decide what you actually want to do with it, right? So let's move to the next one. I'm going to cover each point basically at a time as we go by. So you can move, Mansi. Okay, so let's talk about security, right? Our first learning and belief, the smartphone is the only personal device. Everybody has a smartphone and they know how to keep it clean because they've been through the challenges. So they will take it out and they will clean it, but they have a smartphone with them, particularly at a time like this, right? The whole world is going digital. I still, people say, oh, well, they don't have a smartphone. I disagree. I think smartphone is something which is available with pretty much everybody, right? The second is the whole thing around occupancy control in an office. Safety and security is about controlling what is in your office because at the end of the day, you don't want overcrowding. You don't want to have too many people that are entering the office. So how do you control that? The second is you got to think about contactless technologies because for an employee, it is important. They do not want to touch things and they want to be careful about what they touch, particularly when you have 50 people in a room, right? Last but not the least, social distancing needs to be implemented because that is something which is critical. So whether you're preparing for your workplace or you're preparing for your manufacturing plant, just think of these four things from a safety security point of view. And I'll give you examples basically of it, right? So first things first, let's go to the next slide. Okay. How do you monitor and control the office site occupancy, right? Firstly, employees need to make sure that they do their health declaration before they come to work. I mean, I've traveled here to Singapore. The first thing I had to do is on the app, go do my health declaration. The whole bunch of questions that were asked, right? But at least it told them that, okay, if a person's coming in, you need to know about the wellness of the person. That's the first. And it's got to be done electronic. I think filling up forms, papers, somebody doing it on your behalf, I think that's all okay, but really, you got to do it in a digital manner. The second is you got to make sure that any visitors coming in go through the same process and procedure, right? The third is there are enough thermal scanning, face scanning technologies out there, right? How do you get that in? But it has to be integrated to the whole process of, has the person done health and wellness check? Has the visitor done health and wellness check? Has the temperature automatically got recorded? Do you know whether the person's wearing a mask or not? But these are processes and procedures that have to be put in place. And then counting the number of people that are going in and going out. Because if you don't have control of that, you land up with the one thing that you don't want to do from a safety point of view, which is overcrowding. Even on a floor, by the way, when we do buildings, we don't look at building occupancy. We look at floor occupancy. You can even look at occupancy from a one single site. Like, do I have too many people in the cafeteria? Do I have too many people that are crowding in the coffee area, right? But at every stage, non-intrusive. There's not like a guy coming in, whatever. It's all alerting mechanism. It's all leveraging on technology, right? But that's the whole purpose. And if you look about it, right? So LinkedIn just did a survey, right? And it's obviously an unbiased survey because of LinkedIn. What is the biggest concerning returning to the workplace? Proximity to coworkers. Well, you tell them to come back, and guess what? They got 15 people sitting around them, each one right next to them. That's when they start to get really, really concerned. So I think managing the entry process and the occupancy, number one priority, right? And use technology for it. Don't bother about all this paper, pen, and everything. It's not going to work, right? You'll never have control over the environment. Second thing, which I think is important, contactless, right? So you have to think contactless. Think about access into the building. Do I really want to have these plastic cards given out? Can I just do it on the phone? Can I do facial? Think about elevators. And, that's a very cool thing we just did. We're actually deploying it at a building in Mumbai. Elevator control. Yeah, put in what floor I want to go into. It tells me which lift to go in, get inside, get to the floor, you're out. So you have made access contactless. You have made visitors coming in, visitor management contactless. You have made just the whole tracing process contactless. So everything done on the mobile phone, right? Entry and exit. So clearly, leveraging on contactless technology in today's day and age becomes very, very important. But guess what? Even after COVID, look at the convenience of doing it, right? It's that single contactless software that lets you in, and then look at the amount of data that you have. You've always talked about occupancy. Well, how occupied are my places, etc. And so anyway, you get all the data even post-COVID, right? So that's on the contactless side. Let's get to the next one. So third thing is social distancing, right? First is you come too close to somebody, an alert goes out to you. You don't have to have some security person come and bother you, because the last thing you need is somebody coming near you. But just getting an alert on the phone that, listen, you're too close to the other person, would be great if you can just be a little away, right? Cafeteria, give them the option to pre-order their meals so that they don't go queue up. They don't, go in there, and you don't have overcrowding inside in those areas, right? Because lunch is very important. So while you thought about the number of people getting into the workplace and you thought about seats that are all far apart, what about the cafeterias? What about the common areas? And absolutely, technology is there to be able to leverage that, right? Think about service request. And I think this is very important, right? Person comes into work, and this happened with me and my colleague Norman, right? Who was also on it. Well, there was no sanitizer right at the entrance. And so what could we do about it, right? And when you get in, you need a mask because you've got certain customers coming over, you want to give them a mask. So there are a lot of common issues that are there, particularly now. And so giving them the ability to register or ask for something using technology in a very simple manner, making the request, you have a process and procedure, you have an SOP in place that then enables it to get delivered to them, make sure you've got soaps, etc. But the ability to do that using technology is also huge, just from a safety, basically perspective, right? Because they don't know who to call. They don't even know who's in the office at that particular point in time, right? So that's really on the safety side, from entry to making sure that there's no social, there is social distancing and there are contactless services in place. Let's go to the next one. Okay, keeping them informed. So I'm here and I get a full docket, which tells me who to contact in case of health issues. It tells me who to contact in case of issues or challenges that I'm facing with my facility. It's got messages on what are the processes and procedures that I need to follow. I'll give you an example. Do I go anti-clockwise so people are not bumping into each other? Do I go clockwise? But it's very important that we have the ability to communicate and give the channels and open the communication channels with our employees. Very, very important. Any SOPs that you're putting in place, transparently share them. You have a case. Honestly, this has happened with us also, right? Where there was a case in the building, nobody knew, and rumors were flying around. I can tell you, the only thing that happened was 75, and I wrote Raja's smile, 75 people ran away home. That's exactly what happened, and they were very upset. And they kept on finding out, hey, is there a case? Did something happen? Because they want to know, did I meet that person? Communicating, very, very important, right? You got to keep your staff informed, particularly the ones that have gone back to work in healthcare and management, basically all of these places, right? So we lay a lot of emphasis with our clients on the whole communication process, and it has to be done using technology. Pinning up these things on posters on the wall, or giving them pieces of paper, or sending them an email, that's a thing of the past, right? You got to have it online, all the time available on an app, right? And to be honest with you, that's what employees want. I mean, in the surveys that we looked at, 50% of they want assurances that, well, what are the cleaning processes in place, right? They want to be notified. And so obviously the whole communication protocol has to be established and signaled out to them. Go to the next one. Okay, it's got to be real time. It's got to be trustworthy information, right? You have to be able to communicate them effectively. Also, simple things like, do I go to work? Is it my week to go to work versus the other person's week to go to work? You cannot expect the employee to be calling up and doing all those things. All that has to be available to them. These are the dates that you need to go. Do your health declaration. Okay, you're all good to go. Tick in the box. You show up, contactless. You get a seat. You do your work. You go back. You have all the data and the information available with you. So critical. Let's go to the next one. Okay. What is the workplace of the future going to look like? Our guess is that it's going to become a place where certain critical functions go back. For the rest, it's a place to meet and collaborate. I work from home. I have clients coming to meet me. That's the time that I will go to the office. I have a team meeting. That's the time that I will go to the office. But really, that's where the future is, right? And I think when you think of that future, let's say you have 5,000 people, right? And now you decide that 50% of them are going to come back. Do I have enough seats? And when they want to come back, do they have a seat that they can get? Do I have social distancing norms that I have put in place? Do I have a way for the manager to go in and say, team A is XYZ, team B is ABC, which one goes to work and when do they go to work? Who went, who left? But this is where I got to tell you, technology is hugely important, hugely important. We have clients that have used, a whole bunch of our social distancing software to look at their floor plans, automatically calculate all the seats that can and cannot be used, made that available on a mobile app. They decide, yep, it's my 3 days to go to work. Go and select which ones you want. Do I have a seat? Yep. Which department do I belong to? Yep. Finance. This is your zone. Who's my colleague? I want to sit close to my colleague. But all those things, right? And look at it from an employee experience, much better than they just showing up, not knowing what to do, don't have a seat, selecting a seat. They don't know whether the seat was used by somebody else or not, right? And so it's time to make the workplace completely flexible, but use technology to be able to do that. I'll be perfectly honest with you, right? uh, this is where the future is moving to. That's what the workplace of the future is going to look like, right? And there have been a lot of talks about, air quality sensors and everything else. Let me tell you that if you don't know at any given point in time how many people are actually going to be coming back in, all that is a waste. So it begins here. This is where the flexibility is there. And second, you know, it would really be awesome if I could look at all the office locations that are there on my phone and which one seats are available, which one can I go to, which one is the nearest one to my home, and be able to make that decision, select it, see if my colleagues are sitting there, and go and actually work there. I need a meeting room. I book it in advance. I need to pre-order my meal. I go pick it up. But that's what a flexible workspace is. I don't have parking. Simple things. Oh, yeah, but I'm a work from home. I don't have parking, but every time I go, it's a pain. Well, you can book a parking, right? For those 5 days that you're there. All this done using technology. That's where the market's going to. The huge benefit of doing this is crazy amount of manual coordination goes away. The employees really know what they are supposed to do, so they are very productive and everything's digital. And I think the biggest thing is you get a lot of data about utilization, right? So you make sensible decisions on what do you want to do with your space moving forward, right? And if I look at the next slide, which is uh, you know top of mind for a lot of businesses, it is reducing cost. Because do you really think about this? Do you really need to have a fixed desk anymore? I have met two kinds of customers. I have not met a third. The first type of customer is saying 30% at home and we'll do whatever, right? And then there are customers that are saying, damn, I don't think I need more than 20 to 25 coming back to work because this experiment has worked. And yeah, those are collaboration spaces. We'll set up pods, we'll set up all these different things. Whenever they want, they come, they meet their teams, they have their peer review conversations, they have their appraisals done, they meet their customers, they do their demos, and they go back, right? So this is going to have a huge impact on cost. And I think it enable the whole work from home. So we're not in the category that says, oh, people are not going to work from home. I think people are going to work from home. But you need to have the right tech to be able to enable the blending of back to work and work from home. They have to come really nicely together, right? And look at the cost saving, right? 5 lakhs almost on an average in India. You give up 25% of your space because technology will enable you to do that. Massive saving opportunity, right? It's the third largest cost item on your books. I think you should really do the math, and we're happy to help you with ROI and things like that. But this is real. This is what customers are starting to see, the ones who have really started to get this implemented, right? And also the whole de-densification. But that is really step two. Let's solve what you have right now. I think that becomes the most critical. So these are really the four things that I think come nicely together, right? Safety, optimization, cost,
Hey, Dinesh.
Yeah, Raja, I think Dinesh just dropped off. He's quarantining in a hotel, so let's allow him a couple of minutes. I think he'll
Sure.
join quickly.
okay, sorry. Looks like I dropped off, but I'm back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's another thing, Wi-Fi. Anyway, so how does that tech look like? What do you need to do? Mansi, if you can move to the next slide. Okay. I'm going to hand over now to Raja, right, who is our VP of Technology. He's got a lot of experience in being able to deploy solutions like this. So, Raja, over to you to address the audience. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Dinesh. You sort of nicely laid out how technology has taken the center stage when it comes to workplace, and specifically in a situation like this, right? So when we talk about the key elements of a technology solution, there is a lot of things that plays out, but these are the five key. Starting with data security and privacy, right? So we are dealing with our customers' data, employees' data, whether it's the while we only use some basic non-sensitive PII, personal identifiable information, but the whole product or the whole technology, we take data security and privacy to be really, really high in terms of priority. And we make sure the data is stored securely, and the data as it gets transported or as it gets stored, it's all encrypted. And in terms of privacy, so we follow pretty much all, we meet pretty much all data privacy requirements and comply to most international and global standards when it comes to data privacy. And then I think Dinesh nicely laid out on various aspects of workplace and how, it's the key thing is around how do we keep it simple, easy to use, and provide the experience for our end users. Not in a siloed 5 different apps, bring them all together in a single app, whether it's the meeting room booking, what they have to deal with, or a visitor management or a health declaration that they need to do. Right, so pretty much all of these are provided with a simple, easy to use in a single application. A mobile app is what we're talking about. Obviously, we do support native on both iOS and Android when it comes to our app. And then the third element is on the cloud. So, it's pretty much easy to set up. It's on the cloud. We sort of support primarily on Azure, but we could support other cloud hosting technologies as well. But even from the customer standpoint, it makes it easier in terms of time to market. When they are ready to get people back to work, the government regulations change very quickly. And they would say, you know what, from Monday, employees can come back to work, and here is the occupancy level that we recommend. So being on cloud, they can easily sign up for our service, and we can enable them in matter of a day or maybe a little over a day. And then technology like that, whether it is the, talking from access as they enter the office, to elevators or turnstiles as they come in, to a contactless elevator. That's something that Dinesh talked about, which we have done. And that's something going live. I think earlier today, they did some testing as well. And to sensors, whether it's an occupancy sensor or thermal scanner as they take the temperature of the employee or a visitor as they come in, right? So we pretty much do a lot of IoT integrations. In fact, we have over 50 plus integrations that we do. Some are sensors, some are devices, some are as big as elevators and turnstiles and so on. And then the last one, while doing all of these various elements at their workplace, we do collect a lot of data. Dinesh talked about how important is the cost saving and bringing visibility on the utilization. So we leverage a lot of AI, analytics, reporting, and the recommendations to make that easy for our customers, which is what results in a quantifiable ROI for our customers, right? So these 5 key things forms the underpinnings of our technology solution. Can you go to the next slide, Mansi? Okay, so this is sort of bringing it all together. Taking a workplace, you sort of a day in the life of an employee in a workplace, you can pretty much find every single area that you typically have in a workplace, be it an entrance of your office, where you go through visitor management with the health declaration, to a contactless self-assessment to contact tracing to people counting as you enter. And then as you get into the office, you may want to book a seat. And that again, you could book it remotely, as Dinesh was talking about, leveraging our desk management solution. And as you get into the seat, you can actually use Wayfinder to get you a seat for the day. And then as you get there, you can check into your seat. That sort of allows, those people who do book and they're not able to come to office for whatever reasons, or it's a repeat booking that, they didn't manage to cancel a specific instance of a reservation and so on. So being able to check in and start using that space. And what that does for your facilities organization is gives you the visibility of what seats are really occupied versus what seats are, booked and not used or available for booking for others, right? So all the way to, employees being able to actually use standard operating procedures or FAQs or announcements that they could all share, not rumors or the things that you hear. These are official guidelines for employees, whether it's a group or a site-wise or an organization-wide. You pretty much have all of these in one place, right in your hand on your mobile phone. And then we talked about the meeting room. If you have a meeting with your customer or your colleague, you can really use a tool for booking the room and feel the comfort that the room is sanitized just before usage of your meeting and so on. So, and then if you are a facilities management team, you pretty much have visibility of your space utilization and how you could manage your demand and supply, not just for today, but looking into your future as well, and what space you can give up and how much cost that you could save. So that sort of brings them together, a typical digital workplace, right? So we sort of take any AutoCAD floor plan, digitize that, and from that time onwards, we stay digitized. Any changes to your floor plan, you can pretty much do that on a digital layout that you have to work with. It's right in the hands of your mobile phone. And I think Dinesh showed the nice looking seating plan on the app as well in one of the screenshots. Yeah, that sort of sums the experience in a workplace in a digital way with technology enabling every piece of it.
Thanks, Raja. And yeah, look, the intention was clear, right? We just wanted to kind of take you through a journey that has been done by a lot of customers, whether it's us or whether it's somebody else. But the intention is that, basically at a time like this, our belief and essentially being a tech company in the workplace is that, there is a solution for every one of these different pieces. What you need to factor in or think about is, how do you get your employee comfortable? How do you make sort of a no stones unturned approach that you take to technology? How do you leverage heavily on AI, because it is important for you to get all the right recommendations, right? And how do you create the digital workplace? What we think is where the market is going to be, where the market is going to head towards, right? And look, there'll be all kinds of permutations and combinations. Half our customers are saying fully flexible. Half are saying, nope, we want to make sure that we work in a hybrid environment and they want approval processes in place. So I think flexibility in how you deploy technology is also going to be super critical, right? I think that's where you'll start to see the real ROI that is coming out. So I'm going to stop here just for a second and open it up for questions. I can see some of you are putting things out on the chat pod, and look, we'd love to connect with you offline as well. I think, Anushka, if you can take some of the questions on, I think that would be great. There's a question from Manoj and Praveen and Dinesh. Dinesh, nice to meet you. And then Anurag as well. So Anushka, yeah, let me hand over to you. Thanks.
Sure. Thanks, Dinesh. Thanks, Raja.
Hey.
Yes, I'm going to take up a couple of questions. So there's a message from Manoj saying, no, we have various make of elevators and want to check integration feasibility with your application. So we are completely open. We can always have a conversation with any of the partners you are comfortable with. We understand whether they have open APIs. As soon as that has been established, we pursue with our integration. That could be a very fast one. We did our last integration, I guess, 2 weeks. So we speeded things up quite a bit. So yes, we're open to have any form of integration, whichever type of partner you're comfortable with, right? Manoj, I hope that answers your question. The next one is, what if we need a mix of flexible and fixed seats? Is that possible? So that's absolutely possible, right? We believe that how offices are managed even within the same enterprise can differ from geography to geography, right? How people engage with the ecosystem would be very, very different. So yes, we provide both solutions for the same organization. If you feel that in a certain location, you want to go ahead with hot desking, with social distancing, that is absolutely possible. If you have a certain location where you're asset heavy and you wouldn't want to make your employees move around too much, we have the solution in that space as well. In fact, in that area, we have an AI algorithm that could do it for you. You wouldn't have to worry about it and have that scheduled regularly as well. Right? So,
just to add to that, Anushka, I think it could be even on a same floor, you could have a flexible seating mixed with a fixed seating as well. So it's you know, not just at a site level, but going to a floor, right? So
thanks, Raja, for that. So we have that flexibility. The next question is, what are the technology solutions that can be used for workplace reopening? So Kunal, that's a question from you. Thank you for that. I think it's a mix of all different technologies we just spoke about today, right? Because it's not as straightforward as, hey, let's make our workplace safe. It's beyond that. You have employees, their level of comfort, the engagement, how much can you do to, as an organization or as an employer, to make your employees feel comfortable. So all the way from safety technologies, right, to ensure that there's minimum friction when you enter your workplace, how you travel to your workplace, how you decide where you would like to work out of, how you would like to conduct your meetings, how many people would be optimal for that, where would you like to eat. So as long as you, as any technology, gives that level of authorization and power to the end user in the most sophisticated manner possible, that kind of technology is required, right? So all the way from people tracing to online services to scheduling systems and the whole gamut, but ensuring that it all ties back to the workplace and has a soft element of making every employee feel extremely safe and comfortable when they decide to come back. Right?
Scott, just to add to that, I think one of the things that we do at Smarten, right, is that we have the whole gamut of how do you get back to work sort of system, right from health declaration to technology to temperature taking to contactless access to elevator, everything that I kind of talked about, right? We bring that together on one platform, and then we have partners. So we'll be happy to kind of look at what are all the things that can be done to be able to help you basically with that. And Anushka, you missed out Anurag, who talked about manufacturing. So maybe I can take that. We just got done with a whole bunch of manufacturing sites. But Anurag, on that, what we've done is that, even if it's a blue-collared worker, right, at the end of the day, if they have a phone, great, they can do a health declaration. It's in Hindi, it's in English. They come, we've got contact tracing software, so we can make zones out of your factory when you walk in, and we know who has walked into which zone, what time did they get in, what time did they leave, who did they come close to or in contact with or spend the most time with. All that is getting tracked, and that data is available to you, right? And from their perspective, basically the technology they need is a phone which has to be in their pocket. Because if they come too close to somebody, it buzzes, it beeps. But then they have, of course, food and they want to pre-order it, etc. So those are the things that we are doing from a factory point of view. And actually, there's one of our clients who now is using our solution in 19 countries. probably 17 or 19 countries in a manufacturing setup. So that whole end-to-end thing has been pretty well thought through, so that even if a case happens, you don't shut down the whole factory. You shut down that zone. You make sure the zone is cleaned up, and then you're back to work, right? But that's how it really works. Sorry, Nishka, I'll let you address basically the rest of the questions. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Anish. I did miss that.
There are a few questions in the Q&A box as well. Please let's check those out. Thanks.
Okay, so I shall check that as well. Okay, so there is one question that says that how does social distancing tool work for seats? How is the distance between seats identified? So currently our system has, it ingests the floor plan, right? So it kind of understands what is the distance between the seats. Our tool identifies what type of seats they are once we onboard those workstations. And to decide the distance between the seats, our tool gives you all the flexibility to have that configurable. So if you feel at a floor level, you would like to keep the distance between two of your workstations at about 1.5 meters, you can do that. And then the system will automatically disable the seats that fall within that range. And you could go ahead and increase it or decrease it depending on what the requirement would be at a floor level, right? So that's one question. Hi, can you please tell us what more have you done for contactless entry with body temperature mapping? Okay, so we have, again in this space, the couple of things we try to achieve. One, we would like to count the number of people or employees who would be entering a workplace. There are a lot of different geographies that have different rules. In some places, they wouldn't want more than 50% occupancy. So that's the first thing the tool does, right? To ensure that we maintain the allowed capacity for a site. And that is done through the app again. So as soon as an employee heads toward the workplace, it generates a very specific QR code for them. It gets scanned, so it's completely contactless. It checks you into the building. And while that is being done, we also have a health assessment module. So you have the option of answering a couple of questions at home when you're on your way to work. And when you reach the workplace, there is a way that the temperature can be added in no matter how many times you enter the location or exit your workplace, right? You can maintain a configurable threshold for your appetite of temperatures which you'd like to allow in the workplace. So that also gets automatically alerted to the team in case there's anybody over the threshold of temperature. So with that triangulation, the system through one single application checks in an employee, ensures that they are a part of the permitted capacity of the building. They also scan the health assessment, and then the temperature can be then entered in, right? So that's what we do in this space. What is the time frame for you to integrate seats, and is seating arrangement live of 300 employees on an average? Okay, so the time frame for us to basically deploy, just if you're looking at social distancing for the system to ingest the floor plan, that shouldn't take more than about 24 to 48 hours. So we could have that done within 2 working days for you to start using the technology, and it can take up to any level of employees. So anything over 300 is absolutely doable. Hi, can you please tell us how to manage walk-in customers for food retail hypermarkets in the present scenario? Okay, so this is a very interesting question. I feel that we kind of deal with this quite a bit. So if you go in, it's pretty straightforward. You walk in, there should be a way for the user to scan a QR code or any mode of identification for the table. They can view the menu on their phone. They can place the menu order on the phone. It automatically is, of course, integrated with the system at the restaurant. The order is received, the payment is done, the food is prepared, and then there is zero communication. See, another thing apart from contactless is also the fact that people would like that respectable distance when you're seated at the table. You don't want too many people coming and asking you, hi ma'am, how can I help you? You would prefer them at a distance with a list of instructions saying that this is how you can go about your day. But if you prefer any more human intervention, we are there for you. I think that's very, very important when you're talking about a restaurant, right? So I think these are a few things which you could definitely look at. Dinesh, are there any other questions?
Would you like to
There is
answer
actually a
it from the hypermarket point of view? I think the question was for hypermarket.
Yeah, maybe let me take that, Anushka, if that's fine. So look, thanks, Udipto. At the end of the day, you want to make sure that, again, same thing. You don't want overcrowding. You want to track down who's gone in and who's gone out. Are they okay? But that's where a lot of what we talked about gets utilized by the customer, but they don't have to download the app, right? So we've got the ability to, you put a QR code there. When they come in, they scan the QR code and everything we talked about gets available to them. But that's how we've deployed it. And I think it makes it much easier, right? Even here in Singapore, there are laws around how many people can actually go into these malls or these hypermarkets. And so it's all contactless. And then you have obviously tracked the information down, right? So that's what we're doing. But, and look, you know, once they scan up, I think there's enough data and information and questions that you could determine, right? Including their temperature getting input, et cetera, so that you have all of that available in a digital manner, right? So I think we have a couple of questions we had left out. So if I can just...
Yeah, there's a couple of follow-up from Manoj. All use cases you explained is managed with one license, or is it with module to module?
Yeah, so I mean, look, at the end of the day, bulk of it is one license, and then you can just add on top of that, so that you get these basically licenses, right? Hey, Anushka, there's one more question. If you can answer on, can I use the solution post-COVID as well? It would be great if you can highlight the benefits.
Sure, Dinesh, I'll take that up. Definitely. You can use all these solutions post-COVID. A couple of examples would be your space management, social distancing, hot desking. The way you could use it is, see, we have been kind of forced to get used to the new normal, and couple of these elements are here to stay. I think even after COVID goes, the way your employees would expect to interact and engage with the workplace would be very different than what it was 3 to 4 months ago. They would still expect that flexibility. So I guess hot desking, even post COVID, is going to be a huge requirement, because we would still be dealing with all with the economy. We'd still have to manage that. We would still have to ensure that we are pocket friendly, right? So that's one part. The engagement among employees has never been more strong than it is today. And that will be a consistent requirement, even if you do come back to office and work, right? The entire algorithm for work from home, now that we are experiencing that it's not that bad and people can actually work from home, I would maybe predict that maybe in cases where the fields do allow it, you don't have to get to office all 6 days a week. You could be doing it 3 days a week or 4 days a week. But the management of the entire workforce is definitely here to stay even post-COVID. Hygiene elements will be required. Your entire maintenance of your facility to ensure that when you come back, it's sanitized enough, is here to stay for quite some time, till the time this is completely eradicated, right? But Dinesh, if you feel any more elements that could be added apart from scheduling, I guess it's all there.
No, I think the digital workplace is the future. I think flexibility and how you do your spaces, you want to reduce your costs. So everything we're doing today, by the way, with our customers and putting in the platform is absolutely going to be used by them for the next 3-4 years, right? Even post-COVID, because they're all very clear that the old way of working is going to change, right? So that's what it is. I think somebody has a question: is it possible to do a POC in our facilities? Absolutely. So just sign up for the POC. It takes us a few days, and we'll have it up and running. So that's not a problem. There's a question around: is employee able to search for their colleagues in departments, book a seat? Will social distancing be adhered to well? Absolutely. So you will only see the seats which you have booked. sorry, which can be booked, and you will be able to see the ones that have been grayed out, which means they cannot be used because of social distancing, and you'll be able to see the seats that are available. You can then search for where your colleague is. And look, social interactions are important, right? COVID or no COVID, I think we all see people want to be near their colleagues. They want to be in their departments. And so that can be supported, absolutely. Footprint in India, we're in every city now, right? And Bangalore, we have in India today close to 70, 80 million square feet that we have deployed. So India is one of our absolutely key markets. We work with a lot of big companies there. And, you know, we're in Bangalore, Hyderabad, Pune, Mumbai, Delhi. I think Cal as well. We've done a warehousing site there. So, you know, we're definitely there. So in Jaipur, look, honestly, Manoj, it doesn't matter. We can be in any city. We have a partner network that does deploy our solution in each and every state. If some hardware is needed, if it's software, it's simple because we obviously are in the cloud. So we have never faced a challenge. In fact, with HDFC Bank, which is a large bank, we are in every city with them. We're doing work on space management. So yeah, should not be a problem. And my India team would be very happy to kind of take that on, right? So, you know, if it'll be great if we can get some feedback from you. I don't know whether we have a survey or a poll, Mansi. If we don't, at least on the Q&A to say, do you agree with this being the future of the workplace? Do you agree technology is like super critical? Would be great to get your views on it. If you all can put that up. We'll probably hold it for a minute and then we can wrap things up. So it'd be good to kind of get your views on the chat box. Yeah.
I'm afraid we don't have a poll ready. We would love to hear from everyone on where do you see the future of the workplace going in. Thanks so much.
Yeah, and we'll connect with you offline. But look, it's been a great session for us to deliver to you and share with you. If you want to know more, you know, we've got the team here in India that is in every city almost. So we'll be happy to do that, of course, via Zoom. But we do look forward to working with you as you make plans for getting your people back to work, keeping them safe, and also for a digital workplace, which I think will be super critical around seating, space management, and the whole future, right? So with that, we're 5 minutes over. Sorry about that, but we can wrap up. Thank you very much for attending. Thank you, Raja, Anushka.
Yeah,
thank you, Mansi, and the team.
Thanks, Anushka.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a very pleasant evening. Bye.